Lick it.
I don't want to lick it. What if it's something gross?
How will you know what it is if you don't lick it? No.
Yeah, okay, you got me there.
You are listening to Rent Free in My Head, the podcast where we take the thoughts that are squatting in our heads and help set them up with residence in yours, free of charge. Each week, Kirstyn is going to slaughter my soul with a true crime case.
And then Jeramie just gonna fuck with my head. Just really fuck with it. Like last week. What the fuck, man? I still...
Don't lose your head over it.
That's... Mate.
I can tell you now, this week, my case rocks.
That's gonna be a pun, isn't it?
Why would it be a pun?
Because it's you, Jeramie. God. Is the person like a geologist or something? Or does it happen in like the Grand Canyon where there's like lots of rocks? No, you were saying something about Italian, weren't you? So it's gonna happen somewhere where there's lots of rocks. I can't think of a single other place that has lots of rocks.
I wasn't... The only thing I said about Italian was that when we started the Zoom call, I had to finish my Italian lesson.
Oh, so you're just learning in general. You're not learning for...
I'm just learning Italian, yes.
Oh, that's so romantic. I'm not, because I'm a piece of shit. Anyway.
I just want to know it. It would be handy to know a second language.
I want to learn Arabic. Okay, look, I have been going to football games since I was little. I still do not understand what is going on 90% of the time. However, my commentary of what is going on greatly entertains my family. Because I'm just like, oh, they're doing the huggy thing, which is actually called a scrimmage or some shit like that. I don't fucking know. I call it the huggy thing. And I'm like, they're doing the huggy thing. And I'm like, oh, that kid's got the ball. Oh, that kid did a bad thing. I don't know what the bad thing is, but he did a bad thing, and now the other guy has the ball.
It's kind of like you talking about a true crime case, basically.
Literally, though.
Which, funnily enough, this isn't a sports podcast, so...
So yeah, we'll stop talking about football, and we'll get into my case, which I think...
Yeah. Because I want to move on to my rockin' mystery.
That's... And I can't wait to find out the reason for these puns. I think you will like my decision on my case this week. I think it'll make you giggle. So, it's an Australian case. Because, wanted to go back to Australia. So, someone did give me an idea for a case. But in trying to find that case, I stumbled upon the case I actually am doing.
Okay. This works well as well because someone also suggested to me that with us being Australian-based, obviously because of most American podcasts, you hear a lot of American cases, and it's the Australian ones that get kind of buried, that it would be a good idea for us to try and find as many as we can. Yeah,
my sister also made the same comment. She was like, you should try and do a lot more Australian cases, and I was like, fair. The first 5 episodes, I just kind of was like Googling a random topic and picking the most interesting thing.
Mysteries, that's a little bit harder, so not really going to be able to do the same on my end, but...
Just me. I got you guys. I'll be the Australian part. In saying that, though, I'm not fully committing to do an Australian case every week. Some weeks I might do a different one, so don't please expect me to do it every week, but I will try and keep it a lot more Australian. Because I do know we
don't do like all Australia, just like pepper some in.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, also, we got another lady killer because feminism, yo. And I very specifically did choose to do a female killer this week. So, partly because the person who suggested me a case, that was a lady killer, and I was like, fuck yes, ladies.
Is it the one that I think it is? Because there's a very specific Australian woman killer case that we've
Catherine
talked
Knight.
about.
It's not Catherine Knight.
Yeah, it's not Catherine Knight.
No.
Okay. Dang.
I did think about doing Catherine Knight because it is very interesting. But I do know it's
something you can sink your teeth into.
Yes. It is a very interesting case, but a lot of people have already covered it, so I thought I might save that for maybe like a later episode. Or like a bonus episode or something like that. So I wanted to do more unknown ones first. And I had never heard of this bitch before, so... you know.
Okay.
So, the reason why this is a little bit funny is because the case takes place in Perth, which, as we know,
is the capital of South Australia.
is the capital of Western Australia. No, but it gets funnier. So it's the capital of Western Australia, but coincidentally, the murderer's birthplace is Adelaide, South Australia.
No wonder she grew up to be a killer. She's from the murder capital of the world.
I saw that it was in Perth and I was like, oh my god, this is brilliant. And then I kept reading and then it was like, she was born on the 10th of August, 1871 in Adelaide, South Australia. And I was like, fucking done. This is the bitch I'm doing. This is the bitch I'm doing. So I just thought that was a bit of a funny connection to a previous episode.
Yeah, I like it.
Thank you. I did too. So this bitch's name is Martha Rendell. And she stayed in South Australia, Adelaide area, until, like, she was, like, low-key an adult. So by the time she was 16, she wasn't living at home because her dad had died at, like, around when she was 11 or 12, and then her mum got remarried, and there was just some not great family life or whatever. So she'd left home. And she also apparently had 3 bastard children. This isn't super confirmed because on the main website that I used for the information for my case today, which, oh my god, it's a brilliant website. It's called The Lady Handbook for Murders.
But is that website my face?
No.
Okay, well, I don't like that website then. I liked the other website that was my face. Wait, no I don't, because that's got bad people on it.
Yeah, I was like, wait for him to connect the dots. Wait for him to connect the dots. Yeah, so I just thought it was a really cool website. So in that website, it said that she had 3 illegitimate children, so bastard children. I'm not being a dick, I just think bastard's a funnier word. Also, it makes me giggle because my 2 sisters are bastards, and I'm not, even though my parents were divorcing when I was born.
I'm a
Sucks to be you,
bastard
bitches.
in every meaning of the word.
Aw, I'm not.
Yeah, you're just a bitch, though.
Literally, though. So yeah, it says in that article story, it says that she had 3 illegitimate children, but in other articles I read, it said that she didn't have any bio children. So either way, she's a piece of shit. So it doesn't really
Were
matter
the
too much.
children illegitimate because she stole them?
Bestie's not in the habit of stealing children.
What?
Listen to the story. That comment will make sense later on.
Is she in the habit of giving them away?
No.
Are they also free to a good home or a shit home like you? Or did they go for like 2 high fives as well?
You know what? I'm just going to continue. And in the article, it said that she had 3 illegitimate children to her, and I quote, rampant promiscuity. So apparently little Martha was a hoe. Like, live that hoe life. Everyone goes through their hoe stage. Fucking you do you, bestie, but like maybe just use contraceptive because the planet really doesn't need more children, especially unwanted ones.
What year is this though?
Oh, right.
Didn't you say it was like the 1800s? Did they have contraception? Like, what would they use for a condom then? Like a goat's intestine
fucking plastic
or something?
bag. I don't. Ew, no, don't use a plastic bag.
A plastic bag. How hung do you think men were in the 1800s?
Anywho, so in the mid 1880s, Martha met Thomas Nichols Morris. Ha 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 ha. Apparently this kid was just the fucking bee's knees. She decided, she's like, met him and she's like, you know what, this motherfucker, I want him, he gonna be mine. Didn't really give a shit that Thomas was already married to a woman named Sarah, and they
That's
had
just
9
semantics. It's fine.
children. 9 children. Like
Good
that
lord.
poor bitch's vagina. Jesus.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said that last week in regards to Sue Basso's parents.
fair, because she had a lot of siblings too.
It was also 9. 9 children in that house too.
No, it wasn't. It was 8 children, 2 parents, because it was a family of
Let's
10.
not go over this math situation again.
But anyway, so, but only 4 of the 9 children lived at home with him, because I assume all the other ones were old enough to be out in society or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, Martha's like, Sarah, it's a small obstacle. We can get over that. I want Thomas. She didn't even give up when Thomas and the family decided to move to Western Australia, to Perth, because she was like, all right, besties, I'm out. I'm going to go follow Thomas. And she just dipped on her 3 children.
That's why she's not in the habit of stealing children. She just fucking leaves them.
Yeah. Or
good riddance, I say. Let go of the things that are holding you back.
Maybe if you didn't birth them, I'm sorry, but if you fucking pop out a kid and you don't give it up for adoption and you have the means to care for it, that is your fucking responsibility until they turn 18 years old.
Just deal with your crotch goblins, people. Don't leave them.
So yeah, so she followed the Nichols Morris family to Perth. And shortly after their move, Sarah and Thomas did separate, and Thomas got custody of the 4 children. So after that, Martha was like, ooh, yaysies, I'm just going to slide on in and get my man. So she moved in, but because it was still...
Wouldn't he be the one doing the sliding on in?
He could be into pegging, you don't know.
This is true.
God, Jeramie, right. Don't assume.
Sorry.
When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
I just didn't peg him to be an ass play kind of guy.
Okay. Moving on. So, because it was still the 20th century, it was a bit scandalous that 20 seconds after your wife moves out, you get a new bitch coming and living with you and you're all hunky-dory. So they moved from wherever the fuck they were living in Perth to Eastern Perth. One's website actually listed their address, which I thought was like a little bit weird. It's like Robertson Street or something. Much. Yeah, I didn't write it down because I was like, that's a little sketch.
I mean, it also was like a couple of 100 years ago, so...
Oh, but still.
Not even a couple of 100, like 100, I don't know. It was like 1870, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So like 150 years
actually,
ago.
Actually, closer to the 1900s. 1870 was when she was born.
Why do I keep trying to do math?
Yeah, I don't know.
It ruins families.
It does. So, now we've got good old Thomas and Martha playing house with Thomas's 4 youngest children, George, Arthur, Olive, and Annie.
So his children were good enough for her to take in, but her own...
not so much. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, super great. So we're now in 1901. We've made it to the 1900s. How exciting. Martha was like, fuck yes, I've got the man I wanted. Look at me, living the perfect life. She's passing as his wife, and she demands that the children call her mother. Which, that's just fucking gross. But anyway, kind of sucks for her, because good old Thomas actually worked away a lot, so he was barely ever fucking home, and Martha essentially became a single mum to 4 children that weren't hers. And they were all under the age of 14 from memory? No, 13. So
should have stayed with your own 3, woman.
Literally, though. So yeah, but lucky for her, in 1901, the Eastern Perth community became... I just totally forgot the word that I was going to use. infected was the word I wanted. Infected. Infected with, and I might pronounce this wrong, so apologies.
COVID.
No. Diphtheria. Which...
Diphtheria?
No, it says diphtheria. It's spelt dip, but when I did the pronunciation, it had duh.
Okay.
So...
I've only ever heard it as diphtheria, but...
Diphtheria? Okay.
I've heard diphtheria, yeah.
Okay, well that one.
You say potato, I say potato.
That one, which for people that don't know, is quite a serious infection of the nose and throat. So it does cause like mucusy shit to like build up around your throat and make it really hard to breathe, which isn't super bad if you're a big kid because you can just like hack it all up and shit like that. But if you're a wee young lass or lad, it can cause death. Obviously, it can cause death in big kids as well because it's the fucking 1900s. But it is a survivable illness.
Death? So, that sounds pretty fatal.
You're killing me.
I'm not killing you, but death will.
Sure. This is the shit I have to put up with, people. This is the shit I have to put up with.
Well, don't set me up so easily. Like...
I don't mean to!
That's
so
true.
Anyway.
You could probably just say any word and I would find a way to make a pun.
Literally, though. So back to this super sad moment because the youngest child, Annie, who was like 2 years old, dies of diphtheria. Yeah, do you feel bad about making puns about this kid's death now?
I'm sorry, but all that's running through my head.
It's fucking puns, isn't it?
You can bet your bottom dollar that the sun did not come up tomorrow for her.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Jeramie. It's a child dying!
I'm sorry, but I am aware.
Oh my god. So little...
It's a hard knock life, okay?
Little, like 2-year-old Annie dies from this illness, infection. However, apparently the older three managed to make a full recovery. I say in quotation marks. Because less than a year later, typhoid apparently decided to just come on in and visit the household and fuck with them again. So,
is someone just sitting there playing like Sim City and just unleashing plague
and just,
after
like,
plague?
fucking sending diseases on them? I know, right? Like, fuck me. So, yeah, typhoid comes to the household, and because the fucking 3 kids literally just survived having diphtheria, they are obviously already compromised with their immune systems. Not that great. Also, it's the 1900s. So they all get really, really sick again, and little Olive dies next. And then...
So maybe her name should have been Odai, not Olive.
Stop.
I hate myself, but like, I couldn't not.
What the
It was
fuck,
right
dude?
there. It was literally there in her name.
Oh my god.
She did not live.
Olive was followed by Arthur exactly 1 year later. I mean, to the day, exactly 1 year later. How fucking creepy is that?
I'm just gonna ask.
So Annie dies in July.
I'm just gonna ask now to just be sure. Are they actually dying of these diseases, or is what's her name doing the dirty? Is it that sounds bad? Is it
Wait
like
and find out, Jeramie.
Is it like an MVP kind of situation, Munchausen by proxy?
No, it is not Munchausen by proxy.
She just poisoning them.
Possibly.
Does all of their food suddenly smell like almonds?
No. So, now that all 3 children have died from infections that technically were survivable, someone's like, you know what, shit, maybe we should do an autopsy on this last kid. And they're like, yeah, probably. And then Martha's like, oh, okay, you can, but I have to be there because that is my stepson. Okay, I need to be there for him. So she stands in on the autopsy. They find nothing suspicious at all.
Except for another person in the room that shouldn't be there.
Well, apparently they were pretty chill with that back then. So, life just kind of goes back to normal. You know, not that big of a deal. Only 3 of her stepchildren have died. No biggie. In just under 2 years. Well, 2 years. And although there were doctors and medical professionals visiting throughout those years to obviously like check in on the children because of the infections that they were having, all but like one doctor, who was the same doctor who was like autopsy, they all thought that Martha was just being a diligent stepmom and being like really good and caring for the children and just being an amazing stepmom, right? Because she would spend all of her time caring for her sick stepchildren, right? But then, in April of... Oh, I just realized I said the wrong number before. It was 1907. Sorry that this is happening.
Okay.
So, Annie died July 1907. I said 1 before. My apologies. I wrote my 7 weirdly. So, Annie died of July 1907. And then Olive died October 1907. And then Arthur died October 1908.
Okay.
Okay, so apologies. Now we're in April of 1909 when George, the final stepkid, runs away. And it gets noticed. So apparently, Martha gave, being the great stepmom she is, gave little George a cup of tea. And then shortly after, George felt a little funky and he had a bit of a sore throat. Obviously, he told his stepmom because he's like, bestie, my throat's sore. Like, my gosh. And Martha's like, girl, I got you. Let me just get my little medicine and my special little brush that I used on your siblings. And I'll just pop it on the back of your throat and it'll help soothe your throat. And George is like, my 3 siblings died after you did some shit to them. So no.
Yeah, fair.
That ain't fucking happening. George is 14, by the way. So George fucks off. He's like, nah, bestie, I am not letting you put no shit on my fucking throat. So George
was not curious.
I mean, I think he was curious. He was just not curious about that fucking shit being on his throat.
Yeah, fair.
So George, who'd like literally watched his 3 younger children die, because mind you, they did not die nice deaths. They died slowly from not being able to eat because their throats were so swollen that like air could barely get in and food couldn't really get in. So they died really horrible deaths. So he runs away to his mum's house and he's like, Mum, what the fuck? I think Martha's done something. Like, holy shit. While George is fucked off to his mum's house, the neighbors who, like, previously had just kind of kept to themselves, hadn't really, like, they weren't nosy neighbors, they were just neighbors. They noticed that George wasn't there anymore, and they were like, Thomas, the fuck's your kid, mate?
What kind of Australian are they if they're not nosy neighbours?
I know, right? I thought that was weird too.
What?
I was like, every neighbor I've had has been nosy. I'm fucking nosy.
Yeah, it's like...
Dude, the minute I hear a fight happening on my street, I'm like, oh, the fuck we fighting about today, besties?
Literally, though.
Yeah, right? So, anyway, they noticed that George wasn't there, and they were like, Thomas, Martha, where's your kid, mate? Like, what the fuck happened? And Thomas and Martha are like, what the fuck's going on? Kid missing? What? I don't know. The neighbors are like...
Also, I just realised, that's Batman's parents' names.
Martha and...
Thomas and Martha Wayne.
Oh my god, it is! George is not Batman, though. And
well, no, because his parents are alive.
well, also,
Well, she's not his mom.
Yeah, I was like, that's not his mom. That's his stepmom. But anyway. So yeah. So the neighbors are like, George is missing. 3 of the kids have died. Is George dead? What other weird shit have we all seen in that household? And then, just ever so lightly, this information was peppered into the stories that I read. Apparently, at one stage, little Annie, the youngest child, was beaten so badly she couldn't walk.
Don't love that.
That was just casually mentioned in, like, the 3 different articles I read about this case. And I was like, what the fuck, people? So, they were like, Annie got beaten. 3 of them are fucking dead. George is missing. This is a bit sketch. So, they did the neighborly thing and went to the police and were like, hey, bestie, there's some sketch fucking shit going on in that house. So then an investigation is opened. I didn't write down the investigator's name. I'm so sorry, Mr. Investigator, but you're probably dead by now, so oopsies. Anyway, so this dude starts investigating the weird shit that's happening. He goes to George and he's like, bro, what the fuck happened? Why did you run away? And George is like, because Martha's a fucking crackhead and she murdered my siblings. And he tells the inspector about the tea story, and he's like, bruh, I don't know what it is, but she had this little bottle of, like, shit that she would use to soothe, I'm putting this in quotation marks for people that aren't looking at me like Jeramie is, soothe their sore throats, and then they die shortly afterwards. So it probably wasn't soothing anything. And then they find out it comes to light that Thomas and Martha together purchased some hydraulic acid and some salts and other, like, sketchy shit like that.
Salt is not sketchy. Everyone has salt in their house.
It's not like actual, like, table fucking salt. It didn't say what kind of salts. It just said salts.
Like bath salts?
I don't know. It didn't say. The bad thing is hydrochloric acid, which is basically toilet cleaner.
Yeah, I thought they were poisoning the kids, not assaulting them.
For fuck's sake. They did assault Annie, though.
Oh, yeah. It was a real hard knock life for her.
Oh my god! Because they were knocking her around. We are fucking horrible people. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so it turns out not only was Martha putting a little something in their food and drink sometimes when they were sick, the little remedy shit that she was putting on the back of their throats was just flat out fucking hydrochloric acid. Which, if ingested, closes your airways.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So she's a soups great stepmom.
We thought Cinderella had it bad.
Literally, though. She ain't got nothing. It also came out to the community that Thomas and Martha weren't actually married. And so that was, like, a super bad scandal as well, because, like, oh my god, what a slut! Living with a married man. You know, not really that big of a deal that she murdered 3 children.
Yeah, that's...
But she was also
like nothing.
unmarried, living with a married man. Like, fucking Christ.
Yeah, that's utter disgusting. That death penalty right there. And you know how I feel about the death penalty.
Ironically enough, she was sentenced to the death penalty.
Yeah, for being a little hoe.
No, literally though, in the article I read, it was... So, Martha and Thomas are both charged for the murders, right? So they're both charged, go through the investigation, while Martha was the one who actually, like, put the acid on the back of their throats. Obviously, she should get a worse sentence. But, so she was sentenced to death. The entire time she's claiming innocence, being like, No. I was trying to heal them. I was trying to help them. I was looking after them. I'm a good stepmom. She claimed innocence until her death, BT dubs.
Maybe she just wanted to take the kids on a little trip and got the wrong acid. It happens. Like an acid trip, Kirstyn.
No, I got it, but I just don't think that you can accidentally mix up acid, yay, with hydrochloric acid, nay.
Maybe she just, like, forgot her glasses that day and she could just make out the word acid and she's like, that's the one.
Okay, but Thomas was also there with her.
I don't know, he's a man. Can they read? I can't.
Probably not. So.
Exactly.
Thomas was with her when she bought the acid, probably because she had a vagina, and I don't think she was actually technically supposed to always buy shit by herself, and she sure as shit probably couldn't buy it with her own money because she had a vagina and couldn't apparently make her own money. He was acquitted of all charges. Although apparently the jury did want him to be guilty of accessory after the fact because they were like, oh, he probably didn't know that she was like buying poison to murder his children. He only found out after she murdered them. Which I call total fucking bullshit on. I fucking doubt it. Why the fuck else were you buying hydrochloric acid?
I mean, look. Men are oblivious. Yes. We're dumb.
Okay, that's true.
But we are not that fucking dumb or
dumb.
oblivious.
Like, I don't really know what hydrochloric acid was used for, like, back in these times, but I know now it's fucking toilet cleaner.
It definitely wasn't a tasty drink.
Yeah, but you wouldn't buy it straight either, would you? Like, I think that bitch knew it, something about it. So, to make matters so much worse, by the way, I'm not defending this stupid bitch's actions, I just think it's stupid that Thomas got nothing and Martha got all this bullshit. So, in the press, Martha was called a scarlet woman for living with a married man. She was also called the wicked stepmother, which fucking fits. Low-key, yes, call her that, not low-key, high-key call her that, because she was wicked, she fucking murdered them. But the scarlet woman thing.
It's funny that she was called the Scarlet Woman because I almost made a joke at the start when you said her name was Martha and that she was a bit of, like, that she was hoeing around, and I was going to be like, oh, so that's Martha with a scarlet A?
Oh my god!
But then I was like, no, that's stupid, don't make that joke, and now I'm sitting here going, damn, I really wish I made that joke.
That is such a good joke. Fuck, I wish you made that joke. So Thomas got off scot-free. And Martha was hanged for the murders on the 6th of October, 1909. And, fun fact, she was the very last woman to be hanged in Western Australia. She wasn't the last serial killer to be executed in Western Australia. That was, oh my god. I was like, I'm going to remember his name. I'm not going to write it down. I don't remember his name. Ooh, no, I really cannot remember his name. It's like a famous Eric Cook. Is it Eric Cook? I don't know. Some other famous serial killer was the last guy to be executed in Western Australia, like decades later or whatever. But she was the last vagina person to get executed. Not vagina person because people can have vaginas but identify as men. She was the last woman to be executed in Western Australia. And, super fucking cool, I actually found the newspaper article about her execution.
Ooh!
I know, right? I was so fucking excited when I found it. So, there's like a massive article about her, but I'm only going to read a little bits about the execution part, just because it's so fucking dramatic, and I low-key love it. So, execution of Martha Rendell, Perth, October 6th. Shortly after 7:30 o'clock, which I've never heard someone say 7:30 o'clock. I've only heard them say 7 o'clock, never something 30 o'clock.
Yeah, because the o'clock is like when it's that hour bang on the tip.
Yeah, right. So this sounds so stupid. Shortly after 7:30 o'clock this morning, A group of press representatives were gathered outside the grim walls of the prison, whence they watched with interest the common routine of the penal establishment taking its ordinary course, undisturbed by any consideration of the momentous event impending within. The gates swung open, the labour gangs trudged forth to their day's work. The good conduct prisoners passed with a scavenging cart. The warders entered to commence their duty. The tradesmen drove up and made their customary calls. About 7:45, Mr. Ramacotti Ciotti of Hansard's staff appeared with a special permit from the Colonial Secretary to watch the proceedings on behalf of the government, and to make a confidential record of anything which the condemned woman might say on the scaffold. See how fucking dramatic it is? Like, I love this so much.
So either Homie was taking like a creative writing class and they had an assignment to turn in, or it was a slow news day and they needed to fill as much page of the paper as they could.
Dude, I'm pretty sure the whole thing about her is like 3 pages long. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Okay. Quickly, the minutes flew by, and then the fatal 8 strokes rang from the prison clock. Slowly, 4 minutes dragged by, and then the guardroom door was opened, and 2 female warders appeared to announce, by their half-suppressed weeping, that Martha Rendell had paid the dues of the law. Before 10 minutes past the hour, all the visitors had left the prison, and details of the woman's death were public property. Never was an execution better performed or less likely to satisfy morbid appetites for the sensational. Martha Rendell might have... Oh, sorry, I moved my thing a little bit.
Oh, yes,
Martha
a
Rendell.
satisfying execution.
No, literally, dude. It's so fucking dramatic. Martha Rendell might have been an Oriental fatalist. So little of emotion did she show in the final hours of life, worse than death. Up till a late hour on Tuesday night, she had received quietly and apparently responsively the ministrations of the Reverend T. Allen. I'm also going to skip apart another bit because this is just dragging the fuck on. She gave no tear. She wept no tear. She made no fuss. She did not sleep. Yet she did not brood distressfully on her fate, but talked with warm affection of the man with whom she had stood in the dock, and to whom the end she declared herself devotedly attached. In the early morning she drank a cup of tea, then at 7 o'clock became again closeted with her spiritual comforter. So he pretty much remained with her until right before she went to die. Even then she showed... Oh, well, there we go. He remained with her till shortly before 8 o'clock, when the sheriff's deputy, Mr. Bonner, appeared with the hangman and demanded the woman's body. Even then she showed no distress, but calmly submitted to the okay, that's not the right word. Pinoying?
Pinoying?
Pinoying? Even then she showed no distress, but calmly submitted to the...
Hang on.
Pinoying? What the fuck is that word? I, half read over bits and pieces because I wanted to, read some of it because I thought it was funny.
Pinioning? Restrain or immobilize someone by tying up or holding their arms or legs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is it again?
It says pinioning.
Pinioning, okay. Even then she showed no distress, but calmly submitted to the pinioning of her arms and agreed to have her eyes bandaged with a pocket handkerchief. On the stroke of the hour, the gloomy procession started, headed by the superintendent, the sheriff's deputy, and the medical officer, followed by the Reverend T. Allen, behind who came the condemned woman, guided but not supported by the 2 wardesses. Okay, I'm going to skip again. to the next person.
Whoever wrote this found the right type of acid before writing it.
No, literally though, it's so lengthy. I'm like skipping different parts of it just so I can so I don't take up too much time. But fuck me. Okay, he's also broken it up. Now we're in the death chamber, and he's got the death chamber in capital letters before the next paragraph.
Good lord, did he write a fucking novel?
Oh, mate, it's fucking long. So, in the death chamber, no time was wasted. Mrs. Rendell, though she never got married, so that should be Miss. Mate, someone spent too much time on their creative writing class and not on
fact
grammar.
checking.
What the fuck that is. Literally, though. So, Miss Rendell stepped firmly to the scaffold, and in a moment she was in charge of the hangman, who, with busy hands, adjusted the white cap, attached the noose under the plait of her hair that hung down on the light print of her skirt, and bound a strap about her dress and limbs. Without a tremor, she stood through those most awful last few seconds. Then the bolt was drawn, the chasm opened, and in a second all was over. The woman was dead instantly, and it was but 3 minutes past 8 o'clock. In this way ended the career of Martha Rendell, who, whether innocent or guilty, was truly a most remarkable woman.
What career?
I don't know. She didn't have a fucking career. She had a vagina, and that was it. But you know what's funny? I'm going to stop reading there. It fucking keeps going. But another paragraph, and then he's got another thing where it's innocence maintained in capital letters. And he goes on about how the Reverend turned around and was she maintained her innocence of the murder because she was only technically charged for Arthur. Because obviously he was the freshest body, even though they did test the other kids to see if there was hydraulic acid. Arthur was the most fresh, so that was the one that they could charge him with, right? Charge her with. So that's the crime she was technically executed for. And yeah, even when she was with her little Jesus kid, she was still I'm innocent, I'm innocent, I'm innocent. And then the priest was yeah, just don't fucking talk on the gallows unless you have something fresh to say. So the priest was bitch, no one wants to fucking hear about your bullshit innocence. But this article keeps going.
So did she bust out some fresh rhymes on the gallows, or?
No, she shut the fuck up the whole time.
Oh, I wish more women would do that.
Jeramie!
There's this one in particular. She just tells me these terrible stories and she just doesn't stop.
Oh, fuck off, bitch. You know what? I'm going to read you what her final words were, you little asshole. Her final word... No, I'm going to read how he says it. Her last words she uttered, and she said them in the cell, were, I am completely and absolutely innocent of the crime for which I am dying. Girl, shut the fuck up.
What's with the slight accent every time you read the paper, though?
I don't... Okay. I'm not very good at reading aloud.
And apparently you just go a little bit British.
No, I've actually noticed that sometimes when because I struggle to read aloud a lot of the times. I'm not very good at it because my brain reads too fast for my mouth, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
okay,
does.
Cool, yeah. So, I don't know why, but for some reason, it somehow helps me to, to put on something. Because I think it makes me slow down and really think about what I'm saying.
Fair.
I don't know. But I also feel like sometimes I just randomly slip into random fucking accents and I don't even notice.
Oh, I do the same, but I think that I'm the opposite. I think that my mouth moves faster than my brain sometimes.
Yeah.
So, I'll start a sentence and my mouth is and then I'm halfway through and I'm I don't know where this is going. What
did I just say?
Literally. I don't think before I speak most of the time, and what comes out of my mouth I'm just as surprised to hear as everyone else. It's great.
I sometimes am like that. But I also feel like I'll think before I speak a lot because I'm stressed about what people will infer from my words.
Yeah. I think it depends on the situation, but, you know.
Oh, literally, though. But yeah, I think I'm just super self-conscious about reading aloud because I jumble up my words a lot. But anyway, that's the case of Martha Rendell, the evil stepmother of Perth, Western Australia.
And just curious, what is the capital of South Australia?
Adelaide, where she was born.
Cute.
I was so fucking happy that I found that article.
That was, like, pretty interesting. Like, that, I have no idea what the fuck that was, but it was interesting, that's for sure.
Right? I was like, because I only read a little bit of it because I kind of wanted to, like, be surprised while I was reading it.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh my god, this bitch is a fucking crackhead. I was like, I have to read some of this.
Like how I Googled things while we were in the middle because I kind of want to know, and it's fun to see us both get surprised. So, I mean, look, it was still not great. People died. But it wasn't the worst thing that you've done to me, so I'm okay with that.
Right. It wasn't great because children were dying, but...
Or being abandoned.
You know.
Just girly things.
Yeah.
Well...
Just a little sun.
I'm very happy to report that this week, not only does my case fucking rock...
What is the fucking pun?
There is no crime at Speculation Station.
What happens then?
Not a crime.
Is it similar to the dancing one?
Yeah, so the beauty of me covering mysteries is that not every mystery involves a crime. So...
I mean, not all of mine have to involve murder. I just keep choosing the murder ones.
That's
I think
true.
More interesting.
There are other crimes than murder. But the fact that I cover mysteries means that I'm not limited to having to talk about crimes. And as you can see here in my book, I have like 2.5 pages of possible mysteries to cover. And they are a good... I've tried to like spread it out, and I've got like a healthy smattering of all kinds of things unknown. So we've got some true crime, we've got some history, we got some paranormal, extraterrestrial, just plain strange stuff. The options are endless, and that's my favorite thing about Speculation Station, is that I don't have to do crime all the time. And,
On a side note, I'm just going to interrupt you for a quick second. I've just looked at myself in the camera. I look topless.
You're not wrong.
So I'm just going to swing my hair back behind my shoulders.
Yeah, it was only once you swung your hair forward. Like, the whole time you've been fine, but now all of a sudden it's like...
Yeah, I like...
Damn, girl, put some clothes on.
And then I like glanced at the camera just to make sure it was still working because yours froze before.
Yeah.
And I glanced at mine and I was like, oh damn. I look like I am not wearing a fucking shirt.
I have just realised...
for that interruption, but I thought it was funny.
I've also just realised that I forgot to include a vocab lesson in here, but I'm sure I'll think of something on the fly.
Well, you helped me with the pronunciation of my word.
That is true. That is true.
Which I've already forgotten how to pronounce.
Are you talking about diphtheria or pinioning?
Pinioning.
Fair. So, you know how we've discussed that I'm, like, really, really great at history? And, like, I know so much about it?
I think we discussed the exact opposite, but sure.
Well, this week I'm going to be covering another historical mystery. As I like to call it, a history.
You're such a dork.
But it fits. It's a history mystery. You put the words together. It's a history. It's the same as my list of mysteries is my listery. It makes sense.
Nerd.
So this week I will be talking about the mystery of Stonehenge.
Oh, for fuck's sake, that's the...
It rocks!
Stop. No, Jeramie, because they're stones. It's literally in the name.
Still rocks. Yeah, that's what I'll be talking about this week. Which I told you it was a wild card, but that it's fascinating as fuck.
I didn't really expect Stonehenge.
No, because you were stuck in the mentality of, oh, he's going to cover a crime. Like, yes, I am going to have a lot of unsolved crimes, like mysterious deaths and missing persons and unidentified bodies and shit like that. But I don't always want to do crime. I want to just grab whatever mystery grabs my attention. And all I've thought about for like the past 2 weeks randomly has been Stonehenge. So I was like, well, I have to talk about Stonehenge.
Look, whatever rocks your socks, floats your boat,
Bloats your scrot.
tickles your... hello. Tickles your fancy.
You're not going to go with pickle? Like everything else rhymed there, and you're just going to pass up tickles your pickle?
I low-key forgot about it, because I went to say feather. My brain was like, it's tickles your feather. And then I was like, that makes no fucking sense. Who the fuck has a feather? And then I was like...
The person tickling has a feather, because they're using the feather to tickle.
Are they actually really that ticklish, though?
I don't know. So yeah, this week I will be talking about the mystery of Stonehenge. There's a lot of things that we do know about this iconic monument, but there's also just as much, if not more, that we don't know. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the history and the facts we know about the landmark and just some of the theories surrounding both its creation and its purpose. So I feel like this week pretty much most of my case is fun facts, but I do have a self-imposed tradition to uphold, and by golly, I made sure to find one for you that was unrelated to the rest of the case.
Thank you. I appreciate your effort.
In 1915, a local businessman named Cecil Chubb, which, not a great name.
Oh, hold on a sec, you just went funky.
Funky fresh.
Ah, okay. Oh, there we go. You can see how shit my laptop is. I accidentally opened up my another application, so I didn't hear any of your fun fact. I heard in the 17 something.
Which isn't even what I said.
19?
Yeah.
My bad. You said in the 19, and then I was like, wait, what? Jeramie, I got it.
So, in 1915, a local businessman named Cecil Chubb, don't like that name.
Oh, best no.
So, Cecil Woody went to an auction. I saw that.
Okay, I'm just gonna leave my drink down for a hot minute while we do this fun fact.
Good idea. So in 1915, a local businessman named Cecil Hardon went to an auction, reportedly to purchase some chairs. He instead ended up purchasing Stonehenge for £6,600, which might not sound... Yeah, he purchased Stonehenge at an auction.
How? It's like this historical monument. How is that a for sale? That's like, oh my god, do you know that apparently somebody put New Zealand on eBay? Like, they put New Zealand for sale on eBay.
Yeah.
And it got up to, like, I can't remember the amount, but then eBay was like, oh, besties, New Zealand's not actually for sale. What?
Well, Homeboy went to an auction to buy some chairs, and instead he ended up walking out the owner of, like, one of the most famous landmarks ever erected.
I'm gonna sound really dumb. Where the fuck is Stonehenge?
You'll find out in a bit.
Okay.
It's in England, but I'll give you the
Okay,
specifics
cool.
in a minute.
I thought it was Europe, but I wasn't sure.
So, yeah, he purchased Stonehenge for £6,600, which might not sound like much, but I did the inflation calculator, and in 2021, that was the equivalent of £722,000, or about 1.26 million Australian dollars.
Holy shit!
Yeah. For some rocks.
Does that mean he can charge... Okay, but realistically, if he owns it, does that mean he could charge, like, tourists for going onto his property?
Well, he bought it, but then 3 years later he gave the monument to the nation. But I'm pretty sure tours, from what I was reading, because somehow accidentally ended up on a website wanting me to book a tour, and I'm pretty sure that they are paid.
Well, that means it just goes to the government if he doesn't own it anymore.
Yeah, no, he doesn't own it. He gave it back.
Why would you give it back? I'd be like, fuck that, bitches. $60.
Do you want to maintain it?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah, but if you're charging for tours, then you can use some of the tour money to maintain it. Just get like a cute little old man that can do the mowing as a ride-on mower. Or you can go do it. I fucking love using a ride-on mower. They're so much fun to drive.
Why he gotta be cute, and also why he gotta be a man? Why can't it be an ugly woman?
Oh yeah, that's my inner misogyny coming out there.
Yeah.
Okay, I just prefer a cute person to be mowing my lawn.
That's fair. Still doesn't have to be a dude, though.
Okay, a cute human mowing your lawn.
There we go. What, so a cow's not good enough for you? Or like a goat? No, not a goat. I fucking hate goats.
Like
they should not exist.
You could put... That's... Damn, boy. You could have a goat. Why? They could just put like a bunch of goats in the property and then they would take care of the mowing.
Goats are fucking evil and they're terrifying and they're ugly. They should only exist as like when they're little kids, when they're adorable and they're cute. And then as soon as they grow up, they should cease to exist.
Okay, but that's how I feel about birds.
The ones that... Oh, I feel the same about birds. They shouldn't exist at all, not even... And I mean, they're not even real. They're just drones that the government uses to track us.
Okay, speaking of birds, so I dropped Sunshine home last Sunday, right? But I didn't drop her to her house. I ended up dropping her to her mum's house, right? So she could spend some time with her mum. And we pulled up and we were sitting in the car and we were talking. And then her mum, like, knocks on the window. Scares the absolute living shit out of me, right? I open up the door. She's got a fucking bird on her shoulder. And I was like, that's a bird. And she's like, yeah, its name is...
No, thank you.
She's like, oh, his name is Bluey. The bird was not blue at all. It was fucking green. And I was like, no judgment. I like ironic names. My fucking cat's called Squid. Can't judge. But I was like, oh, yep, that's a bird. Not into that. You're a lovely lady. Don't want to be near the bird. Not a vibe.
That is a tall glass of no. Birds are terrifying. They're basically like dinosaurs and they're evil and they should not exist. Nor should goats. They should only be like babies.
I hate chickens as well. They're just like...
Chickens are birds, Kirstyn.
No, I know, but like the food is really delicious, but chickens specifically. I told someone the other week that I hated chickens and I just didn't like them. And he turned around to me. It was so cute. He turned around to me and he's like, do you like hate them for a reason? Or just hate them? And I was like, well, like, I do have a reason. Like, when I was younger, I lived on a farm for a little bit, and I got attacked by chickens. And so I've just kind of always been afraid of them because of that. I did, like, when I was growing up, when I was still living with my mum, we did have a couple of pet chickens, like Henny and Penny and stuff like that. And I kind of was a little bit okay with them, but in general, I'm just like, I fucking hate chickens. I can't.
Well, I get the same question though, because so I'm terrified of birds because of like traumatic experiences as a child involving birds. But anytime I mention my hatred of goats to people and like am so adamantly against them, I'm always questioned with, okay, but why do you hate goats so much? I'm like, I don't fucking know. I just always have. They're fucking evil. They're terrifying. They shouldn't exist. Mum's theory is that because when I was in like primary school, we did a play of the Billy Goat's Gruff, and I played the troll. And she reckons that I was just that method that it's carried on through the rest of my life.
Your brain was just like, yes, goat bad. They ruined my bridge.
Literally, they crossed my bridge, and they were supposed to burn it. They don't know what to do with bridges. And, like, the mountain goats, they fucking defy gravity. They just, like, float on the side of a rock. What is that shit? They should not exist. This is the hill I will die on. Goats should only exist when they are a baby, or, like, those ones that fade, they're kind of cool, because it's funny to watch them fade. Or that one that screamed in that Taylor Swift
Oh my god, the Taylor Swift meme!
Yeah. That goat's okay, but outside of that, the rest of them should be gone. I don't want them. Except without goats, we wouldn't have halloumi, so...
Oh my god, halloumi is so fucking delicious.
Oh my god, like... Perfect. So anyway, what is Stonehenge?
Stones. Ka-chow! I've solved your mystery, we can move on.
Alright, that's it. Let's go home. We solved this one.
Both of us are home.
That is true. Where do we go then? I mean, I should probably go to the fridge to get another drink. This Mercury is almost out of retrograde. I mean, I have plenty of wine, but, like, I was like, while recording, I kind of want to have these because I feel like I'll go slower on these, and I was sloshed last time. Holy moly.
Mood, I was talking to Courtney about that. I was literally telling her today, I was like, I don't really remember the last episode. I got white girl wasted.
Literally, we looked at each other like the next day, and I'm like, I don't even remember if I finished my case.
Literally, though, I was like, I'm gonna have to like fully sit down and re-listen to it because I don't remember like hardly anything about your case. I think I remember the heads going missing. I just feel like I'm super spacey during your part because I'm like, where are the heads?
I was super spacey during my part.
We should just call that episode Space Cadets Discuss. Sorry, I decided to...
Hey, Mom, why didn't you tell me? That's all I remember of that song. I don't know why it randomly popped into my head, but...
What it was like when we were young. It's something to do with when we were young, when you were young.
I don't know.
What it was like for people like us when you were young. Hey,
Mom, why didn't you tell me?
Now I have to fucking listen to it, Jeramie. Fuck you. What is that song even called? Hey, Mom. Why?
Buses and Trains, song by Bachelor Girl.
Okay. Buses and Trains. There we go.
For the record, this is the spot where I removed 3 minutes of us singing Buses and Trains by Bachelor Girl, out of sync and tone deaf. You are welcome.
What a fat mood. I fucking love that song, but also I too feel like falling in love is like getting hit by a fucking bus. No, hit by a train. I walked under a bus, I got hit by a train. Yeah.
It is.
So great, it makes you really want to do it.
It is both like terrifying and yet at the same time like
You're
awesome.
about to say something really gay, aren't you? Yeah. That's because you're currently in love.
To be fair, though, I'm still bitter because literally we were watching something, I don't even know what it was the other night. We were watching it together and there was this moment that it was like, fuck off, fly. How did you get in here?
There was this moment and it was like, fuck off, fly.
There was this moment and it was like, supposed to be like this cute gesture or whatever, and it happened, and you literally hear from one end of the couch Mateo go, oh, and me just go, bleh. And he looks over at me and he's like, that was so cute. I'm like, that was the gayest fucking thing I've ever seen right there.
You know what's funny is I I absolutely love romance movies and romance novels. I am the biggest fucking sucker for it. But at the same time, it's my guilty pleasure. If I'm watching it with someone else, or like I see something, actually even when I'm by myself, I'm like, gay.
I can be sitting there eating my food and you show me like a dead body with maggots crawling all over it and I'll be like, cool, take another bite. I mean, it's not cool. It's like a dead body covered in maggots.
It's very interesting.
But it won't affect me. I'll just keep eating and won't be phased. And then people will start kissing on the screen or there'll be like a big lovey-dovey moment and I'll be like, and my appetite is gone.
That's like I told someone recently that I was rewatching Bones and they were like, they're like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, yeah, it was really, but it keeps making me want, because in the first beginning of the series, they are eating at that Chinese place a lot. And I was like, it's making me really fucking crave Chinese. And they were like, don't you see, like, autopsies and, like, a lot of gross shit? And I was like, I mean, I guess. And they were like, but it makes you crave food. And I'm like, well, yes? And they were just like, how do you eat while watching that? And I was like, the same way I eat normally.
Literally.
Like, what?
Like, it's like when you're eating something and someone's like, you know what's in that, right?
Oh my god.
Or they tell you how it's made and you're like, oh, okay. Take another bite. I don't care.
That was like...
I like it. Just let me... Oh! So, you know how I sent you the screenshot of the conversation between Mateo and I where I'd said I'd eaten Hawaiian pizza and he was like, if you wanted to break up, you could have just told me. There's no need to be so cruel about it. May or may not have got him back for being so Emily about his food. Because firstly, I was like, dude, what's the issue? And he's like, it's not Italian. And I'm like, we're not in Italy. And he's like, it's still wrong. And I'm like, mate, you live in a country where we put fucking sprinkles on bread. He's like, yeah, that's delicious. And I'm like,
exactly.
Just let people enjoy what they enjoy. And he's like, not in front of me, you won't. And I'm like, or I will eat what I want, when I want, where I want. Thank you. And then the other night when I was at his place, he'd bought hot cross buns. He made me put it in the air fryer to grill it.
In the air fryer?
Yeah, I was like, can't I just put it under the grill? Just tell me how to use your oven. He's like, just put it in the air fryer. And I'm like, it was not the same. Anyway, standing there and I'm like, babe, can you pass me the butter? And he's like, yeah, sure. Opens the fridge and hands me it. And I look down and I'm like, what is this? He's handed me Nutlex. And he's like, it's butter. And I'm like,
I've had that before. Isn't it made out of like olives or something?
I don't know, but it's not butter.
No, it's not.
Like I've looked at it and I'm like, what is this? And he's like, it's the butter. And I'm like, this is not butter. He's like, do you not like Nutlex? I'm like, I like butter. He's like,
vegan
he's
butter.
started to say, he's like, yeah, but it's just as good as, and I've cut him off and I'm like, don't you dare tell me that this is just as good as butter. Nothing is just as good as butter except for butter.
Oh my god.
Give me butter. So he's handed it to me and he's like, just use this. I'm like, babe, if you wanted to break up, you could have just told me. You didn't have to be so cruel about it.
God. I love that thing.
So what is Stonehenge?
Stones. In a circle.
It is stones. Kind of. Yes and no. So obviously everyone has seen Stonehenge either in person, if you're super lucky, or in photos, like most of us. And can like identify what it is. It's this beautiful, iconic monument. It's a landmark. But how much do we actually know about it? You're in for like a crash course today, but like the Jeramie crash course, so it's kind of like emphasis on the crash. So, located on Salisbury Plain in Wiltshire, England, which is 91 miles or 146 kilometres from London, about 2.5 hours drive. Stonehenge is one of the world's most well-known and iconic monuments, and one of its biggest mysteries. It is a prehistoric monument that is roughly 5,000 years old and predates the pyramids of Giza and the written language. It consists of an outer ring of vertical sarsen standing stones, ranging between 13 feet or 4 meters and 30 feet, 9 meters tall. I couldn't find like a definitive answer in regards to height. Like I saw a lot of varying info. Some were like, oh, they're an average of 13 feet. And then others were like, the highest stands at 30 feet tall. And I'm like, okay.
I've just
but,
realized
like, what about the rest of them?
that I never thought that they were that tall.
Oh, yeah, they are giant.
Like, I've just thought about
Like,
it,
even-
and I was like, huh. I thought they were, like, 10 feet at max.
Well, even 10 feet is pretty tall,
No,
though.
I know, but I was like,
Because
I
that's,
would
like-
only think about, like, in my height, I figured it would be, like,
Yeah.
maybe one of me higher, or, like, not that much higher than me. But now you're like...
You know that they measure horses in hands, not in feet?
I do know that because some random
And
guy
so-
told me.
And so I've decided that I want to measure myself in hands
Aren't
as
you
well.
like 65 hands?
Because I'm 16.25 hands.
So not 65
Which sounds
hands.
way better. No. I'm 16 and a quarter hands, which sounds way better than 5'5".
That's very true.
So, yeah, so I couldn't find like a definitive answer in regards to height. I wonder how many hands tall Stonehenge is. It's a lot of hands. You have to hand it to the people that made it. Like, that's a
stop.
lot of work that went into it. Anyway, these standing stones, they are topped by horizontal stones of similar size. And it is worth noting that each of these stones are reported to weigh upwards of 25 tons each.
Damn, son.
They heavy.
Nah, she lied.
Within this ring is a ring of smaller blue stones, and then within that is like a horseshoe of sarsen stones in trilithon formations. So that is 2 bulkier vertical stones joined by like a single horizontal stone referred to as a lintel.
I just realized I cannot remember what Stonehenge looks like, so I'm going to quickly Google a picture.
I just told you what it
No,
looks
I
like,
know,
and that
but
didn't put
I
like a
feel like-
perfect image in your head.
I mean, you did, but I thought that they all were consistent of the horseshoe design.
No.
And you just described that they weren't all like that. Also, I didn't realize the stones in the middle were blue.
They're not literally blue, they're just called blue stone.
yeah.
It's like a greyish kind of.
Oh, yeah. They're a real bitch to mow around all those stones, though.
What is your fixation on mowing today?
I really need to mow my lawn, but I don't want to, so...
Just hire a cute little old man to do it.
The last man I hired to mow my lawn, he was really judgy. I don't like him anymore.
That sounds pretty judgy yourself.
I just want someone to come and mow my lawn and not be a judgy little bitch. Because, you know what, guys? I have really shitty mental health, and I have creepy as fuck neighbors that watch my every move, so I don't like being outside, so my lawn gets a bit bad.
Fair. So this formation, yes, I am aware of what Stonehenge looks like, Kirstyn. I've just spent 2 days researching it.
True.
So yeah, this formation of stones is within a much larger circular ditch, which is actually the origin of the name Stonehenge. So the word henge is like an archaic word, and it refers to a Neolithic monument consisting of upright poles or stones surrounded by a bank or ditch. So that's the main bit. And then there are also 3 significant stones worth mentioning. So we have the altar stone, the slaughter stone, and the heel stone. So, practically a focal point, the altar stone lays flat in the center of Stonehenge. The slaughter stone also lays flat, just within the entrance of the henge outside of the stone circle. It is so named as it was theorized to be the site of sacrifices, as whenever it rains, the water collecting in the stone is stained red.
Bum, bum.
However, there is no evidence that such sacrifices ever took place, and this discoloration is actually the water reacting to iron deposits within this rock, as the slaughter stone was actually once standing upright. It's just, like, fallen over. She had a bit too much to drink and face planted into the ground. Like, we've all been there.
I was literally about to say the exact same thing.
I feel like that was both of us after last week's episode.
We finished recording and I was like, shower? Had like a 2-minute shower and then fell into bed, basically.
So yeah, it's called the slaughter stone for that, but
low-key not a slaughter stone.
No. It's literally just iron deposits that make the water red. So the heel stone is further outside of the stone circle than the slaughter stone. It's like a fair way away, kind of at the top of a hill, a little bit away from Stonehenge, at the top of the avenue, which is a roughly 3-kilometre or 2-mile path connecting the Stonehenge and the River Avon. I have to keep reminding myself that it's Avon, not Avon, because it's spelled Avon, but it's Avon. And I'm just picturing like this lady walking around trying to sell makeup door to door.
Is that the stone you're talking about?
Like the slaughter stone?
No,
or...
the last.
No, the heel stone's like way away.
That is way away. I just zoomed in on that.
The heel stone's standing up.
That is standing up.
Is it? I can't see on that photo.
That's the only stone that's like just vibing by itself. Because the only other stone is laying down.
Hang on, I'm looking.
I like that they're committed to mowing the lawn in circles around it to really like help with the illusion.
Okay. I'm about to message you a photo.
Thank you. I'm a very visual person. You can keep talking while I wait for the photo.
Well, you'll be able to see in the photo what I'm referring to as the avenue, though, because like it kind of it's like a path jutting away from Stonehenge, and there's like a separate rock just kind of like chilling like a ways away from it.
Okay, so which rock are we talking about now? Are we talking about the one?
Actually, no, none of those.
Or the left?
None of those. I just realized there's these other stones that are separate, but they're not the heel stone. So the heel stone's like way, way away. Like you can't see it in
so
photos.
You can't even see it in the picture. Okay.
No, it's like so separate from Stonehenge, but it is a part of it, and I'll explain how. Okay. Because so at this point, it's at the top of the avenue, which is like a 2-mile path connecting the Stonehenge to that river, and it now basically just acts as a road marker to Stonehenge. Oh. So like if you were walking along the avenue, you'll spot it. So given that I mentioned that it is prehistoric and 5,000 years old, that means that Stonehenge predates the wheel. So how on earth could they have moved the stones? Magic. I mean, we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. Ooh. One could theorize that it is actually simply the remains of a natural rock formation that has eroded over time and had pieces taken away for like building resources, and that makes sense.
I guess.
Except for the fact that that's quickly debunked and proven impossible, given that neither type of stone used to build Stonehenge can be found naturally in that location.
Okay, awkward.
So, sarsen, which is silicified sandstone, silicified. It's like it's like mostly silica within sandstone.
Okay.
Yeah. That came from a location roughly 20 miles or 32 kilometers north. I don't know why this is in England and everything is still in miles.
Probably in America.
Like everything I read was still in miles. I don't know. But it's 20 miles, 32 kilometers north, while the only place that bluestone is found naturally in the UK is in Wales. Roughly 140 miles or 230 kilometers away from Stonehenge. So there's no way in hell that this is a naturally formed monument. They had to have been like brought there. According to Britannica.com, Stonehenge was built in 6 stages between 3000 BC and 1520 BC. I'm just going to give you like the simplified version of what I understood, because it was long. So the first stage consisted of the digging of the circular ditch. The inside of the ditch was 330 feet and the outside was 360 feet in diameter, which is 100 to 110 meters. Like, that's the inside was 100, the inside diameter was 110 meters and the outside the inside diameter was 100 meters and the outside diameter was 110 meters.
Okay.
So, like, a big circle.
You're like, damn, son.
And that ditch had 2 entrances. The main one at the north, which later connects to the avenue. And then there's a narrower one to the south, which, like, that's a long way to have to walk around to get to the entrance if you're coming from the south. So, like, fair. I personally would have made like 8 different entrances if it were me, but I'm lazy. Actually, now that I think about it, I also probably just plain wouldn't have dug a ditch at all because I'm lazy. So I guess that thought is kind of redundant.
It's the thought that counts.
Yeah. And even if like someone did dig the ditch, if I got there and like I wouldn't walk to either of the entrances, I would just be like, I can see it. It's
She'll
fine.
be right.
I ain't doing no exercise. What do you think this is? Anyway, within this ditch, there were 56 pits that were dug, and these were eventually named Aubrey holes after some guy, John Aubrey, who identified them in the 1700s, and I don't really know what that means by identified them. Like, I'm just picturing this guy standing there and going, yep, they're holes, or something like that.
Let's name them after me and my holes.
But yeah, so like, sounds like a typical white guy discovering something that was already discovered a long time ago. He's just like, them's a holes.
Give me
Let's name them
credit.
after
I
me.
found some holes. Yay, me.
So these were speculated to have held wooden posts, but apparently excavation and archival research has shown they were more likely to have held bluestones.
You mean Aubrey didn't figure out what his holes held? Wow. What a slacker.
I know. Like,
Honestly.
don't put it in your hole if you don't know what it is.
That is very good advice.
Yes. If you don't know what it is or where it's been.
Oh, especially if you don't know where it's been, guys. Jesus.
So, yeah, the heelstone was likely placed around this time, if not earlier. And based on remains that were found, it is believed that around this time there were between 150 and 240 cremation burials around the Aubrey holes between this time and the next stage. So, like, some burials occurred there. Some. Just a couple. Around 2500 BC, the sarsen stones were brought to Stonehenge and arranged in their inner horseshoe and outer circle positions. It is likely that the blue stones were moved from the Aubrey holes into their into a newer position at this time as well. Which I was a bit confused because a bit later on it says that they were rearranged later. So I don't know if they were then moved into like their current position or a different position, but it is likely that they were moved.
It's really like moving their rocks around, don't they?
You gotta do what you gotta do to get your rocks off. Between 2470 and 2280 BC, the ditches on either side of the avenue connecting Stonehenge and the River Avon were dug. The first 1600 feet or 500 meters leading away from Stonehenge actually aligns with the sunrise of the summer solstice and the sunset of the winter solstice. And in 2008, it was discovered that these ditches, they were actually dug upon natural chalk ridges that already existed with that same alignment, which I think is pretty cool. That there was
very
like
witchy.
A natural formation. Yeah. Very spiritual. I say, sitting here with my moon-shaped tie-dye shirt, wearing my moon-shaped moonstone necklace and a crescent moon-shaped earring.
I got nothing.
Yeah, but you're not really that type of person either.
I am not a spiritual person. Out.
Everyone has their thing. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. Around 2200, so yeah, this is where I was confused because around 2200 BC, apparently the blue stones were rearranged into a circle and an inner oval, which was thought to have been later modified into a horseshoe, but that also could have been because of stones like being stolen or removed at a later date. So I'm not 100% sure. I'm just kind of going off of what Britannica.com said in regards to the stages. This all predate.
I reckon the security is like.
It's probably pretty high nowadays.
Because I don't want people. Yeah, well, yeah, because nowadays you can just take like a fucking digger down there and steal the stones.
Yeah, probably. I can hear the pen, by the way.
That's fair. I just finished my
Cute. That's something you can say when you birth your first boy.
No.
Sorry, I just finished my son.
Sorry, I just finished.
You did. You just finished making your son.
Sorry, I just finished your son. Hey.
Oh, there you go. Between 2030 and 1750 BC, a ring of pits were dug outside the stone circle. These were called the Z holes. And in the sixth and final stage, between 1640 and 1520 BC, a second ring of pits outside of these were dug and called the Y holes. I have no idea why these holes were dug, but they were.
I love these names.
After 1520 BC, all construction and development of Stonehenge Monument basically ceased entirely. After roughly 1500 years of on-again, off-again works. So, like, either something happened that made them stop, or they were like, yep, this is finally what we wanted it to be, or they just gave up. I don't know, but it just ended. So, we know the facts about where the rocks came from, where they were put, and when they were put there, but we don't know how. I'm just going to get this one out of the way because naturally a lot of people believe that Stonehenge was built by aliens with superior technology.
I was literally just about to say aliens.
I do not vibe with this theory at all. It just seems awfully convenient that these superior beings haven't returned to help us build anything else within recorded history. They just only wanted to show up to help out in prehistoric times? Sure.
That clearly makes the most sense.
It's also worth noting that the lintels, the horizontal stones connecting the vertical stones, appear to have actually been connected to one another using a tongue and groove joint, and connected to the standing stones using mortise and tenon joints, which are two commonly used techniques in woodworking both at the time and even today. So that's even more, like, that points even more towards humans constructing this. Because if they had, like, advanced technology and were a superior race, then they would have done something better than, like, classic woodworking joints. You know?
Or maybe it was a ploy to make it seem like it was done by humans by using classic wood joining methods.
I mean, I guess I still don't vibe with it. I don't buy it. Not that I don't believe in aliens, I just believe that if they were gonna, like, they're not gonna just show up, build a random monument, and then not show up again for another 5,000 years.
Maybe they were busy, or maybe time works differently for them.
Another common theory. So you remember how you mentioned magic?
Hey! It was the druids, wasn't it? It was the fucking druids.
I didn't really get into it and cover it because that kind of requires me to go, like, even further back, but there is believed to be some connection between the druids and Stonehenge, but, like, in its early days. So I didn't really burn that bridge, but there is some connection there, supposedly, as well. However, no, what I was actually going to say is that it was also believed that Merlin...
Oh.
Yes, that Merlin, the supposed court wizard of King Arthur, who, for the record, his existence is also questioned and a mystery, might I add. I think he's on my list as to whether or not he actually existed.
Look, let's be realistic. He was just King Arthur's...
No, it's King Arthur that is the mystery.
Oh. I thought that was, like, factual.
No, there's no, like... there is no recorded...
I have a theory.
There is no recorded knowledge of who King Arthur actually refers to, because apparently there wasn't ever a king called Arthur, so then it's like, was it a different king? And then... it's on my list. I'll look into it at some point. What's your theory?
The theory is he was gay and in love with Merlin. They were like these hot stuff, besties, love affair, and then everyone was really salty about it being two homos. So they...
So Merlin wasn't actually a wizard. He just used his staff to show Arthur a magical time.
Yeah, basically.
You might be on.
But then everyone was like, well, he has to be a wizard if he's got Arthur under his spell, because I can't be a homosexual. Homosexuals don't exist. And then they just created, like, Genevieve to, like, even, like, flush it out even more. And then, you know, like, Lancelot was just another guy that was, like, in for the homos, because he low-key had a crush on Merlin, and Merlin was like, I kind of like you. They had a little dalliance, but Merlin was like...
They may have even been, like, a little throuple. Like, I can see, like, a Arthur, Merlin, Lancelot three-way going on.
Yeah. But Merlin was like, Arthur was my one true love. So they had a vibe. And then, you know, Morgana was just the biggest fangirl, and she was secretly in a lesbian relationship with Guinevere. Guinevere? Is it Guinevere? Guinevere, not Genevieve. What the fuck am I getting Genevieve for? Guinevere,
I don't know.
bad.
Yeah, it's Guinevere. But also, are you writing like some kind of queer romance porno novel or some shit set in Arthurian times?
I will. There we go. Guys.
So yeah, that Merlin, he supposedly magically transported the stones from Ireland, which also doesn't track considering the stones are from Wales. But like, okay, sure, whatever. Or that he had giants construct it for him. Look, I'm slightly more inclined to buy this over the alien theory, but I also do not vibe with it at all. It's not sitting well with me. So now, remembering that they didn't have the wheel and that these stones weighed upwards of 25 tons apiece, you have to wonder how they erected these stones. Not gonna laugh. How did Cecil Chubb erect these stones? How did they get these stones to get a Chubb?
Viagra.
Like the gang in Mexico?
Yes.
Okay.
They will band together and lifted them up and supported their friends.
So, each of the vertical stones are standing within a hole, and given that each hole appears to kind of be like slanted on one side, it's been theorized that they may have been lowered into the holes either using a ramp greased with animal fat or using some kind of like leverage system using ropes and timber posts. Given that this monument predates written language and recorded history, it really is all just theories and speculation though. So we have...
So we might go into speculation station.
Yeah, that's where we are. So yeah, pretty much all we have here is theories, and like while both of those theories do work in regards to erecting the vertical stones, how the fuck did they manage to get those lintels high enough to place atop them? Like, they didn't have cranes or forklifts back then to lift it, and they were 25 tons apiece, minimum. So like, maybe Merlin really did levitate the rocks with magic, or have giants lift them for him. But also, if he did, where are the giants now?
I know. A big meteor came and killed them.
Oh, here we go. So as we acknowledged, I forgot to prep a vocab lesson, but that, you just gave me a good one. What is the difference between a meteor and a meteorite?
One's big and doesn't break apart. One starts big and breaks apart as it goes?
No.
Well, no.
It has nothing to do with size. In this case, size does not matter.
One's on fire, one's not. No, they're pretty much all on fire because they break through the atmosphere. Nah, I got nothing, dude.
So this is one thing that really pissed me off while watching Smallville, when they kept referring to it as meteor rocks or pieces of meteor whenever they were talking about kryptonite.
Yeah.
It is the same as why when it is the planet, it is Krypton, but once it has hit Earth, it is kryptonite. So a meteor is the one that is flying through space. But as soon as it connects with planet Earth, it becomes a meteorite.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm with you now.
But yeah, that's the difference between a meteor and a meteorite. It's got nothing to do with size. It's like once it hits the Earth. So there's also the question of how they moved the stones from one location to another, especially the blue stones from Wales. Like, yes, they were smaller and weighed a lot less than the sarsen stones, but they were also transported 7 times the distance. So, one theory is that the Sarsen stones were moved to the site using a system of men pulling the stones with ropes atop like rolling logs.
That would have taken a hot
But,
minute.
I mean, it would have, but also to quote historyextra.com, yet research carried out by Barney Harris, an archaeologist at University College London, has cast doubt on this theory. Experiments along with observations of people moving megaliths in Indonesia demonstrate that rollers are uncontrollable. Stationary sleepers or fixed tracks would be required. So, like, yeah, they probably could have done it that way, but they would have kept going off track, or it would have, like, fallen off, and then they would have had to keep fixing it. And there's no evidence of any fixed tracks leading from one location to another, so that doesn't really track. Another theory is that the bluestones were moved from Wales to the site via boat, taken from the mountain they originated to the shore and sailed around the coast and down the River Avon to the avenue, or to the closest point to the site before being moved across land. So, while looking into this and listening to some other stuff about it and some interviews and reports, I did hear mention of an experiment being conducted to test this theory in 2000 using only prehistoric methods. But when I tried Googling it to find my own information and sources, I couldn't really find anything because nothing I was searching came up, and I guess I wasn't searching the right thing. From what I heard, it took a while to move one 3-ton stone to the shore, and they managed to do it, but then once they got it onto the boat, it eventually sank to the bottom of the ocean,
Ooh.
and the only way that they could retrieve it was using modern means. So then they were like, ooh, maybe that wasn't doable.
Yeah.
However, apparently, while they were retrieving it, it was not the only bluestone of its type that they found down there. So, like, maybe it was done that way and it just took some trial and error? Maybe it was like they moved 100 and 1 in 3 was a failure, so 33 of them fell to the bottom, but they managed to get the other 66 there. 67, because my math was off. So, I'm not sure. But I have also seen mention in some of the articles that it is believed that the bluestones may have possibly been moved some of the way, not by human force, but by that of glacial movements.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's been evidence of, like, glacial movements from point A to point B, not necessarily, like, to where Stonehenge is, but, like, to a bit closer to Stonehenge than from the mountain. There's been evidence of glacial movements there around that time in history. And, like, that would make sense. It would reduce the amount of distance that they had to haul the stones to the site. Could also explain the bluestones that were found at the bottom of the ocean as well. Like, if some of them just kind of, like, fell out of the ice. I don't know. Look, one of them just really wanted to break the ice and make friends, and it didn't work out well for him. There's no need to be all blue about it. He just sank into a deep pit of despair.
Stop.
Never.
Killing me.
So, there's also the big unanswered question of what the fuck was it used for? Why was it built?
Shits and giggles.
As I mentioned earlier, the avenue aligns with the sunrise of the summer solstice. So much so that the shadow of the heelstone creates a path leading straight to the entrance of Stonehenge. And it's not the only monument in the area to have such an alignment. So about 2 miles or 3 kilometers northeast of Stonehenge is the Durrington Walls, which is another henge monument, actually the largest known one, but we never hear about it. Fucking Stonehenge here taking all the spotlight.
I've literally never heard of it before.
Stonehenge is the Stonehenge is the youngest sibling that's getting all of the love and affection from the parents, and the oldest is just sitting there like, the fuck am I, chopped liver? Hello, you've known me longer. But yeah, so Durrington Walls is another henge monument that is also overlooking the River Avon. And it also is perfectly aligned to the sunrise of the solstice. Only in this case, it's the winter solstice. You know what a solstice is, right?
A witchy party?
Okay. So the summer solstice for us occurs in December, but for the Northern Hemisphere occurs in June, is the longest day of the year.
Oh.
It is basically when the sun rises at the earliest and sets at the latest. It is the middle of, like, it's the peak of summer. And then the winter solstice is the opposite. It's the shortest day of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
But witches do celebrate it, right?
It is, like, connected to rituals and whatnot, yes. So I would assume that witches and Wicca and druids and all of the sort have their own beliefs and connections and rituals related to the solstice on either end. So yeah, these two monuments being perfectly aligned with the rise of the sun on both solstices can't be a coincidence. But why? It's been theorized that it may have been a calendar of sorts. It also may have been used for rituals and the celebration of celestial events, especially the solstices, and I suppose that is where it could get down into, like, witchcraft, because obviously celestial events tend to play a big part in, as far as my knowledge goes at least, like, tends to play a big part in spell casting and stuff.
Yeah, you, like, hear a lot of, I don't know, I feel like I've heard a lot of stuff about specific things happening.
I don't know a lot about the sun. I myself am a moon child, and very much relate and connected to the moon, so I know about the moon's phases and its importance and its different energies and stuff. I am aware, though, that the sun does have its own. It's just that doesn't really relate to me.
For a second, I thought you were going to be like, I'm very aware that the sun has its own importance. And I was like, yeah, Jeramie, it's the sun.
Yeah.
She's pretty important.
What does it do? It's just, like, in the sky and it's hot.
What does the moon do? It's just in the sky and cold.
It's pretty and it's made of cheese.
Well, you know what? Some people think the sun is pretty.
You shouldn't be looking at the sun. That's bad for your eyes.
That's why they're smart people.
The only sun that you should be looking at is me. Which is why I'm the center of the universe.
Oh, darling, you're not.
Oh, but I really am.
You're the center of your universe.
Yes, and everyone else revolves around me. That's how it works.
Not
I'm the
quite.
sun. The world doesn't revolve around the daughter, does it?
Oh.
So I also mentioned that there were remains found showing that at one point in the early days of its construction, the site was used as a burial ground. So, like, was this the original intention for the monument, or just completely unrelated? Did they just have all these bodies that they were like, hey, what are we going to do with them?
Was it secretly just a serial killer who thought it was a cool place to dump his murder victims?
If so, then it sounds like they were a pretty equal opportunist killer, because it seems like the dispersion of men, women, and children within the remains was pretty even, from what I read. So, like,
look at him go.
equality. It has also been theorized that it was used as a place of healing, as apparently many of the remains found there appeared to show signs of trauma and deformity. So, me being me, and given all that we just talked about in regards to my opinions about the moon and the healing energy of it, I personally am quite partial to this theory and feel that it tracks. So, not only is Stonehenge connected to the sunrise on key sunrise days, or like key days of the sun, I don't know. Words are things that are coming out of my mouth.
You're doing great, sweetie.
Yeah, not only is Stonehenge connected to the sunrise and the solstice, but bluestone is believed to have healing properties as well. So the combination of these two factors could actually add some weight to that theory. That people with certain ailments or injuries came to Stonehenge at the summer solstice for the sunrise to be basked in the healing energy of the sun when it's at its strongest power, and soak in the healing energy of the bluestones as well. Who are we to know?
Soak in good time.
They do actually now celebrate. I think they celebrate both solstices there.
I feel like I've heard something about them celebrating that there.
Yeah, because obviously, like I said, it lines up perfectly with the sunrise of the summer and the sunset of the winter. So, that's cool. I love that they're still upholding that. Would love to do that one day, but that's never going to happen.
Why not?
On what planet am I going to have the resources to go to England and go to Stonehenge for the fucking summer solstice?
Your boyfriend is Italian. I assume at one point you will go to Italy and it's just a hop and a skip to England.
Just because Italy is shaped like a boot doesn't mean it's a hop and a skip away from everything.
That's not what I meant. I just meant that, like, you always hear about people in Europe that are like, I'm just gonna catch the train to France.
The mainland, yes. England is separate from the mainland of Europe. It's across the fucking ocean.
Why you catch a fucking ferry, Jeramie? Jesus!
Italy and England are nowhere near each other. It's not a day trip.
France is the one that's near England.
Yes, it is opposite the English Channel. That is correct.
Leon like a million.
I have literally never heard that song, but it keeps popping into my head since you mentioned it.
Because I feel like everyone I talk to does not know that song, but I it's like, it's part of my childhood. My sisters don't even know it, I don't think.
Also,
I sound like a crazy person.
Because we were all jamming out to nursery rhymes with Sunshine, Reese the other day randomly had nursery rhymes in his head, and he was like, oh, that one about 5 little ducks and the monkeys jumping on the bed, I got those two both stuck in my head at the same time. And he's like, and I was confused why, and he's like, I found out they're the same tune. And I was like, I don't know either of these nursery rhymes that you're talking about.
Oh, that kind of unhelpful,
because
I was just about to ask you a question.
He sent me a link to the one about the 5 little ducks, and I'm like, this doesn't sound familiar. And then it got to, the mother went, quack, 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 quack. And I'm like, oh yes, I know this actually.
So when I sing that song, I sing it, the mother duck went, quack, quack, come back.
You know...
She doesn't do 4 quacks, but both of my sisters sing it with the 4 quacks.
I've only heard quack, 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 but also I completely blacked it out of my memory until earlier this week when I heard it again. But I was going to say something earlier when that fly was flying around because I thought it flew into my mouth. You know that for the longest time, I don't know why it is.
Swallowed a fly.
Yeah, I don't know why it is, but for just forever, my brain automatically finishes that line with, I hope she dies. So I know that there was an old lady who swallowed a fly. Perhaps she'll die, but for some reason my brain just immediately goes, there was an old lady who swallowed a fly. I hope she dies. Which
okay, well, mine doesn't make me a psychotic killer because in the book rendition of one that I've seen of the duck story, it does say quack quack come back.
Okay.
But it's just strange because, like, even when I was working in a long daycare, I was like, Mother Duck said, quack, quack, come back. And, like, one of the women was like, it's quack, 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 quack. And I was like, no, it's quack, quack, come back. And then I proceeded to have an argument with a woman about how ducks can't talk. And I was like, well, she said it in duck.
So, anyway, yeah, those were the key theories that I found. I literally had one paragraph left of my notes, and it's like 3 sentences. It's fine. It was a fun little tangent to go on. Yeah, those were the key theories that I found, but I'm pretty sure I've, like, only brushed the surface of this mystery, but with
your archaeological
brush tools? I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't think of the
I'm not an archaeologist. I feel like every week we're discovering a new thing that I'm not. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a ballistic expert. I'm not an archaeologist.
What are you, Jeramie? What are you?
I'm Jeramie. Okay? Just let me be. But yeah, like, I planned to start looking into this earlier this week, and then I had a 2-day-long migraine, so that was great. So yeah, with limited time to look into it and also to discuss it, because I could go on for fucking hours about this shit, I can't really go too much deeper into this one. So, all in all, really is a fascinating mystery surrounding, like, an incredible monument, and it is like a feat of human accomplishment that we will never fully know or understand the logistics nor the purpose of. And that's my case. I feel like I need a different word for mine because sometimes it's not a case, it's literally just like a weird thing that I'm talking about. That's my mystery. That's my segment. I'm really excited for next week's case. Both Sunshine and Tie-Dye asked me about it in the space of like 5 minutes of each other. They were like, are you going to cover this case? And I'm like, okay, so I guess that's what... I'd already made my mind up that I was looking up Stonehenge this week because I needed to fucking know about Stonehenge.
That's fair. I didn't know that much about Stonehenge, so it was interesting.
Well, now you know a fair bit about Stonehenge. And my feelings about goats.
Which is very important knowledge to have.
It is. Goats should not exist.
Get you a goat-themed present for your birthday or Christmas this year. What if it's halloumi? That's technically goat-themed.
I will accept halloumi. I will accept a goat piñata filled with halloumi.
That would be so much fun. I feel like the halloumi would get kind of gross, but a goat-filled piñata, I'm down for. I haven't done piñata in so long.
A goat piñata, not a goat-filled piñata. That makes it sound like we're filling a piñata with goat.
No. Now I really want to do a piñata.
But yeah, so that's my case. I have a real interesting one coming next week. But like I said, in my list of mysteries, they're not all crimes. So it is kind of a wild card with me. It could be a missing person. It could be an unidentified killer. I have some cases that connect to other ones where I'm going to have to tell them back to back. But I still feel like I don't have enough in this little book here. So if you have some suggestions, please let me know. Kirstyn, how can they do so?
So, if you want to send us some electronic mail, also known as email, you can reach
a digital letter.
Yes, a digital letter. Send us a digital letter, guys. Like, send us love letters. Do it. You can reach us at rfimhpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to stalk our socials, you can. They are both Instagram and Twitter are at RFIMH podcast. And we also have a Facebook page, which is just Rent Free in My Head podcast. Correct, Jeramie?
That is correct, yes.
Awesome. So, give us a like, comment on one of our photos. If you want to go to our Instagram, there's actually like a really cute, funny video of Jeramie dancing, which is very entertaining. Just save that and just look at it while you're listening to our podcast.
There's also like regular little teaser videos of the episode to come a few days in advance, and then as well as that, I'm going to be sharing little flashback videos or fail videos of things that we've cut out. I also am working to put together a little bonus episode that is just kind of like compiled of some of the shit that we've some of the shit that we've removed from episodes, just to give you a look at what that's like. That may have already come out at the time that this releases. I'm not sure how quickly I will put that together. We'll see. If it hasn't come out yet, look forward to it. If it has come out, I hope you enjoyed it. Go listen to it again.
Literally.
Because it was fucking entertaining. We're a blast.
I think we are. So, thank you for listening, guys. We hope that we have, taken up a little bit of space in your head, just due to how beautifully we discuss true crime and mystery. So, hopefully we see you next week. Well, don't see you, because we can't see you. But thanks for listening. Hope you come back next week. Bye!
Talk to you next time.